Hi everybody, welcome to our Launchmetrics Support Center. Today we're going to be covering Discover, and in particularly how to run a data report that will generate to an Excel. So this video, like I said, it's going to be very focused on just how to run that report. So if you're not familiar with focuses and feeds within Discover, if those terms are foreign to you, if you're not sure what I mean by that, I definitely highly suggest taking a look at our other Discover Support Center articles that cover all of these things, and definitely get yourself familiar with that. Again, this is just going to be about reports today, so hopefully, like I said, you are familiar, but if you're not, please take some time to read the other support centers that'll walk you through how to do everything within Discover, and I think maybe this video might make more sense to you if you're not as familiar. So to get started, it's really easy. We're going to go ahead and click on the word reports. And our reports are focus-based, so the reports that you're going to be running are done one focus at a time. So you'll see I have a couple of different focuses here, but I'm going to, no pun intended, stay focused on New York Fashion Week. That's been the main focus that we've used a lot of examples of in our other Support Center articles on Discover. So if you've been following along the whole time, you'll really understand where these feeds down here are coming from. So I highly encourage you, again, to read through those other articles if some of these words like feeds and focuses aren't as familiar to you. So we have another video on how to run coverage book reports as well as monthly reports. This video is focusing solely on the data Excel report. So I'll go ahead, and the first thing I'll do is just click on data. You'll see that highlights in green. You can only run one report at a time, and right now we're doing a data report. The date range I can change. So I want to focus on, again, we're looking at New York Fashion Week. That was back in September of 2017. So I'm going to change my dates to that September of 2017. So the very first day of New York Women's Fashion Week was on Thursday the 7th. So I'll go ahead and click on Thursday the 7th. It's going to be my first day of finding and running a report on the mentions and placements that I've configured in Discover using my feeds. So that end date, I want it to be really focused, so I'm just going to focus on just that full week, so the 7th through the 14th. So this report's going to give me one full week of all the mentions and placements of my feeds, and if you were following the other articles that we've made so far in our support center, that online news feed, that was configured using the search expression New York Fashion Week. So anytime New York Fashion Week was mentioned and that phrase was put in an online article, Discover is going to find that for us. For the social feed, hashtag NYFW. That was what we told Discover to look for. So we can see here 31,000 times hashtag NYFW was said out there in on the social media channels of the internet. So a huge number there, which is awesome, and it's going to be really great to run our report. So now when we click on this, you're going to notice there's a little caution icon, and it's only going to say 10,000 mentions. So anytime you have more than 10,000 mentions per feed, it's only the reports are only going to take 10,000 of those 30,000. So please be aware of that, that there is a limit to the amount of mentions that do get exported to the Excel. In this case, it's going to be 10,000 of the 30,000, and those 10,000s come from start at the end date. So it's going to be the 10,000 starting on the 14th, and it's going to go down to showing the mentions on September 13th, the 12th, the 11th, the 10th. So when you do this, you might not see mentions that happened on September 7th. So it's very important that you are aware of your time range and exactly the dates that you are focusing on, and you'll get a chance to see more what I mean by that. Just to make these Excels go quicker, I'm just going to do it one at a time here. So while we wait for that to download, I'll go ahead and ask Discover to run me now a report on our social feeds. So all I need to do is just click on the word social, then I can uncheck that. So you can definitely run a report on all 3 feeds at one time, but in the interest of time, and you can see how these reports, they do take a moment to download. We're gonna do it one feed at a time. So now again, my social, this is gonna take the first 10,000 mentions of NYFW, and that's starting on the 14th. So it's gonna go down from the 14th, the 13th, the 12th. I'm going to export that to an Excel. And lastly, I have 21 print mentions. So this was configured by VisualBox, who Launchmetrics has acquired this year. So if you are a VisualBox client, hopefully you are also using Discover and really getting a lot of great information using the Launchmetrics product suite. So I'll generate this to a report, and we'll go ahead and we're going to take a look at what that online Excel looks like as we wait for those to download. So they're all downloaded now. I'll go ahead and click on download. And again, you can totally run this report using all 3 feeds at once. They're just going to open up in their own separate tabs on the Excel. But we just did it one at a time in the interest of having this go quickly. So as I mentioned, remember about that first 10,000. So that first 10,000 on this Excel here, it's starting with my September 14th date. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom of our Excel, you're going to see it's going to stop on row 10,001. So these are our first 10,000, and you're going to notice that the date is only the 12th. So remember, when I did my original date range of September the 7th through the 14th, I got 30,000 mentions. Discover is only going to pull the first 10,000. And that is only going back, 2 days. So you really, really want to be, aware of that 10,000 limit. And maybe it makes sense for you. You're going to have to run these reports multiple times using different date ranges. Now, maybe the feeds that you're configuring aren't generating that much noise out there, but for something like hashtag NYFW, we are going to see that 30,000 number. So we're going to quickly run through what these headers look like. Not going to talk about all of them, but we have the date. So this date is showing us the 14th. Like I said, that was our end date on our report, and that's going to go backwards from the 14th down to the 12th. We have our media type. So if it's either an online media, a blog, or a image gallery. So again, an image gallery, that is something where if it's like an image carousel where you click on the link and it gives you, the top 10 looks from, the red carpet, and you click, through that image carousel of 10 images, Discover is going to go ahead and it's going to track you if your mention was on slide 7 of 10. So that's one of our differentiators that we can go ahead and do that. So that's an image gallery, a classified or unclassified blog. Classified just means that we know the location, the country of where the blog comes from, whereas unclassified, as you can see here, the country is undefined. So we're not sure exactly where that location is. So that's the difference between a classified and an unclassified blog. Online media, so that's just your general online news publication sites. So it's going to tell me my media type, my country, the language that the article is written in, the estimated audience of the publication, the editorial net value of that article and your placement within that article, the net value of that, the amount of shares, so how many times the article was shared. It's going to give me the title of the article as well as a brief summary. Actually, no, the summary is not in here. The summary, oh, there it is. So here's our summary. So in addition to our title, we have our summary. And it's going to give me the author name. So if we have the name of the author of the article, it's going to have that information in there. And also the category. So when an article has gone through Discover, Discover will place, these articles, going to categorize those articles based on, the back-end algorithm. So these articles are considered about fashion and clothing and the category fashion, luxury, beauty. So it gives, a little bit of insight in that, and you can definitely go ahead and sort those categories to hone in maybe on specific things that maybe you're looking for within these articles. It then will give me a link to the publication. That's definitely helpful. We can go ahead and click into these links and be redirected exactly to the placement. Now, my favorite part about the Excel reports is our ability to sort. So if I wanted to sort, what was the articles that were shared the most, I can easily sort that within this Excel report. So I'll go ahead and sort the shares just so you guys can get an example of what that looks like. And we'll do largest to smallest. So by doing that, we have this nice article from Glamour magazine regarding the record-breaking amount of plus-size models. So very interesting. And if I wanted to see this, all I need to do is go ahead and copy the link. And of course, I can certainly read the summary to get a little bit of an idea of what this article is talking about, and I can go ahead and qualify it if I'm going to send that over to a manager or a director or whoever is going to look at the articles. And we'll go ahead and just copy in that link. And here we go. So this is, again, one like the example I was talking about before with an image carousel. This is a good example of an image carousel. We can see there's 209 images on here. Now, if these images were tagged with just your brand, if it was on slide 10 of 209, for example, Discover is going to go ahead and find that for us. So that's what the online report looks like. And again, we can see that tab there. You can absolutely run multiple feeds at one time, but for the interest of this video, I just did it one at a time. So let's go ahead. We'll open up our social Excel. You're going to notice it's not incredibly different, but I just want to run through all three of those so we do have an idea of what all three do look like. So we'll go ahead and open that up. All right, it's waiting for that to open up. Come on, Excel. There we go. So now here we go. So on this social report here, you're going to get the date of the article. You're going to get the author name as well as the platform. So was it Instagram? A lot of these that we're going to see up here are Instagram. Now this just might have to do with the way I set up my social feed. So if I specify that I'm just looking in Instagram, which is what I definitely did here in my feed that I set up, I was just focusing on Instagram. You're just going to see my the media channel here is Instagram. If you have set up your social media feed to also capture Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you're going to see that also listed here in the platform. So country and language. With Instagram, sometimes if there's not a geolocation on the Instagram post, there's no way that Discover is going to really know where that post is coming from. For those where there is a location tied to the Instagram account, you're going to see that there'll be a US here or any of the other countries that are out there. So I would say just by looking and running this report, I probably, when I set up the feed, maybe just did US, but I think scrolling through here, I did see a couple other countries. Language too. So now Instagram, the languages are usually unidentified. It's in our system, so that's why this is blank. But if you did have, Twitter and it was in English, it would say English. Now my content, so it's giving me the text of what my Instagram content was. And if we just start to look through here, you're going to see, hashtag Fashion Week, and these are how I created my social feed with that hashtag NYFW, which we see here, hashtag Fashion Week. So because I configured my social media feed to include, to find me placements where hashtag NYFW was done, that's why Discover has tracked these mentions and why we're seeing it here on our Excel. Followers, so I can go ahead, I can sort the followers, so I can find the accounts that have the most followers and see those posts first. So we can go ahead and do that. Well, just thinking a little bit here while it's sorting. There we go. So I can see the NBA. So Russell Westbrook, he definitely was a big part of Fashion Week. The NBA has the most Instagram followers and Twitter followers here. There you go. You can see the platform has changed now. So that this post of Russell Westbrook is going to come up first, and I can see the following count. So so the NBA is following 1,649 accounts. So we're going to see that number. We can see the number of tweets that the account has had, as well as the amount of favorites that the account has made on posts. You'll see for information when that is available, the like count and the share count. If that number is available, that will show here on the report, as well as the view count. And then the link here to our article on, the social post. So again, another reason why I really like these Excel reports, I can just very easily copy and paste the link, and that's going to take me over to the exact post that this report is talking about. All right, and the last report that we're going to take a look at is the print Excel report. So if we do have print media being tracked in Discover, I can go ahead and run a data report on that. And there's only 21 mentions, so it's not going to be a whole lot, not nearly as much as our online and our social, but definitely a couple that we can take a look at here. So the headers here on this article, so the date of issue, this just means the date of when the print placement was the magazine date of issue. This date here means the date that our VisualBox team put this clip into their system. So really the date of issue is the main column we want to look at. The source name, so Grazia, Germany. We can see that the country, DE, Deutschland, so Germany. It gives us the estimated audience or the circulation of that print media feed, as well as the issue number, the page that our clip goes on. Highlighted, so highlighted just means that in my case, when I set up my print news clip, highlighted just means that the word New York Fashion Week was in the title of the article. So in this case, the word false means that it wasn't, but New York Fashion Week was mentioned, or just Fashion Week was mentioned in the actual text of the print article. Highlighted just means that it was in the title of the article. So page occupation, so this gives us a formula of the amount of space on the page that the article had. Editorial net value, so again, just the formula that we have of the net value of this placement in this magazine. So we have the publisher, so Condé Nast is the publisher of WWD USA Daily, so we can see how those work together. And then we get an idea of the frequency of the publication, if it's a weekly or a daily magazine. This is just internally how our system tracks the placement. It's listed as corporate fashion. That's just internal Launchmetrics. How when we have the clipping articles, how they're organized. Gender, so unisex. If our placement was more focused on women or men, it's going to tell us that it's a man or a woman that's in this clipping of what we're getting tracked. So the content, that's again the title of the article, and then here's the link to the clipping. So if I copy and paste the link, I can see this is the actual clip of the article that's in here. And again, right here I can see in the text New York Fashion Week. That's why this article was qualified and placed in my reporting, because my print clipping that I set up, that print clipping feed, was to have mentioned New York Fashion Week. If I go back to that report, not only can I see the actual individual page, the actual page where my placement is, I can also take a look at the cover of that magazine here. So there's a link to the cover. And there's the cover of that magazine. So there's the cover. This is where our story was placed. So pretty cool. Hopefully this is just a good idea of what the data Excel looks like. Not as, I would say, not maybe as pretty as our coverage book report that you can run, but certainly a great amount of information that is in this Excel. The links to each of the placements I think is super helpful, as well as our ability to sort our values. That just makes things really easy in terms of seeing what placement had the most shares, or which print article has the greatest editorial net value. So a lot of great information within these Excels. That's it for this video. Please go on and read the other articles within our Discover Support Center. If you have more questions on Discover, please reach out to our Launchmetrics support team or your dedicated Launchmetrics account manager. Thanks so much. Hope that you have a great day.